in Rhode Island had some big races yesterday, including clear winner in the Democrat primary for governor of Rhode Island. We have those results in a moment.
And the mayor of Cranston is celebrating a hard-fought battle on the Republican side as two well-known names in Rhode Island politics are now set to go against each other in the general election.
There's also a close race in Providence as the Democrats for mayor battle each other at the polling places, figuratively, of course.
Yes.
We have all the comprehensive election results in just a moment. All right, Molly, now let's get to all the election results. Watch the bottom of your screen for the results of the General Assembly races and a lot of the other races in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. We'll begin by focusing on the race for governor in Rhode Island.
That's right. In the race for Rhode Island governor, there was a clear winner in the Democratic Party. Gina Raimondo beat out the current mayor of Providence and a first-time candidate with one of the most well-known political names in the state. Here's NBC 10's Katie Davis.
The first thing I have to say is, hi, neighbors.
Gina Raimondo taking the stage in Pawtucket as Rhode Island's Democratic nominee for governor.
Thank you, Rhode Island. Thank you.
The general treasurer pulled out ahead with a strong lead as votes poured in Tuesday night.
And I will be the governor that gets Rhode Island back to work.
The campaign largely a three-way race between Raimondo, Angel Taveras, and Clay Powell, a crowded field that helped Raimondo prevail.
I think there's a segment that obviously dislikes what she did about pension reform, but there's another segment that said, you know, this was a tough decision that had to be made.
Raimondo's campaign has already spent $5 million on the primary, with the general election still almost 2 months away.
I think she has to continue doing the things she's done in the primary. Talk about how we create more jobs for Rhode Island, improve the economy.
Raimondo says jobs will continue to be her focus as she takes on Republican Alan Fung.
We don't have to accept having the third worst economy in the country. I don't accept that. Do you accept that?
Despite the millions spent on the primary campaign, turnout in Rhode Island was light, but experts say Raimondo's ground game was strong, getting voters to the polls to take a strong lead. Katie Davis, NBC 10 News, Pawtucket.
And last night, Cranston Mayor Alan Fung celebrated after a hard-fought battle on the Republican side for governor. Fung, who got the GOP's endorsement, received 55% of the vote. Fung told NBC 10 reporter Brian Crandall that restoring the state's economy is what he will focus on.
We've just been, putting forth our message about turning the state around, making it more business friendly. People resonated with my $200 million tax reduction plan, streamlining regulation. They've seen the results in Cranston of what we can do.
Fung also criticized his opponent Ken Block's past support for President Barack Obama and Block's previous run for governor as a member of the Moderate Party. Raimondo's two Democrat challengers made concession speeches last night. Here's what Clay Powell had to say.
But I want to assure you that we are going to be here together, not only tonight, that the community that we have built will survive this campaign, that we will continue to stand up for the values that have brought us together: equal rights, equal pay for equal work, justice and opportunity, the simple chance to have an American dream in this state.
Angel Taveras also made a concession speech. At one time during the campaign, he was considered the front runner, but he only got 29% of the vote to Raimondo's 42%. His concession speech came in late last night.
I may not be the nominee, but I want all Rhode Islanders to know that our state is worth fighting for.
Now, Alan Fung's Republican opponent, Ken Block, got about 45% of the vote compared to Fung's 55%. He gave his concession speech from East Greenwich last night.
We did not receive the support of the majority of Republican primary voters today. But it doesn't mean that we just simply go home and stop caring. Because I'm looking out tonight at a large group of people who care. This simply means that Republican primary voters have a different set of priorities than those that our campaign has put forward, and the voters have spoken.
And of course, there was a fourth Democrat running for governor in the elections yesterday. That's Todd Giroux. Now, with the primaries behind us, the candidates are shifting their attention to the general election.
And Susie Stemmel has a closer look at the Providence mayoral race and how it's set to change in the coming months. And she is outside of Providence City Hall this early hour. Hey, Susie.
Good morning. Morning, Barbara and Frank. Well, 3 men are now vying for a seat inside Providence City Hall for the upcoming general election, and one of them is independent candidate Buddy Cianci. He's been laying low throughout the primary season, but today he's coming out with a press conference at 11 o'clock outside City Hall, asking voters to give him his old job back. As you well know, Buddy Cianci was the mayor in Providence for 21 years. And as many of you likely remember, he was arrested and convicted of 2 felonies during his time as mayor. One of those was an assault conviction. The other was for a federal investigation into corruption inside City Hall. He did serve time for those crimes. He was in prison for 4.5 years. When he was released from prison, he took a job as a talk show host at WPRO. That show is, of course, called The Mayor. He is credited with helping out Providence during his tenure for 21 years. As the mayor of Providence, he helped build the Providence Place Mall and secure the water fire celebration that Providence is so well known for. Cianci will face off in the general election against Republican Dan Harrop, a doctor, and Jorge Elorza, a law professor who won the Democratic primary last night.
That's what this is about. It's not about personality. It's about vision and who's got the best ideas to move this city forward, as we did years ago and made it one of the best cities in the United States.
Well, I look forward to 2 months of strong campaigning. We're going to continue communicating our message directly to voters, and I'm hoping that it's going to resonate just the same as it has in the Democratic primary. And as long as we keep building the coalition that we're building, I'm confident it'll take us to victory.
You may remember Democratic candidate Brett Smiley. He dropped out of the race before the primary election to throw his support behind Jorge Elorza's campaign, simply because the 2 Democrats wanted to make sure that Buddy Cianci didn't win the upcoming general election. Live in Providence this morning, Susie Steimel, NBC 10 News.
Thank you, Susie. There were many other races around our area last night in Massachusetts and around Rhode Island.
Now let's take a look at some of those. In the U.S. House District 1 Democratic race in Rhode Island, David Cicilline came out on top with 63% of the vote. And in the Rhode Island U.S. House District 1, the Republican race, Cormac Lynch, 72% of the vote.
Warwick Mayor Scott Avedisian had an opponent in the Republican primary yesterday. With 66% of the vote, he defeated the challenge from Stacia Petrie. Cumberland's mayor's race, William Murray is the winner, 49% of the vote over Manuel DaCosta and Daniel Alves. He will face Mark Dusdurian, a Republican, in November.
And in the Massachusetts governor's race on the Democratic side, it was Martha Coakley on top with 42% of the vote. She was going against Steve Grossman and Don Berwick.
Charlie Baker on the Republican side, the winner in the race for governor in the primary over Mark Fisher, 74% to 26%. Lieutenant governor's race in Massachusetts, Democrat Stephen Kerrigan defeated his challengers with 51% of the vote. Attorney General's race in Massachusetts for the Democrats, Maura Healey, 62% of the vote over Warren Tolman's 38%. And Democrat Deborah Goldberg won the Democrat primary for general treasurer in Massachusetts, 43% of the vote over her challengers Barry Feingold and Tom Conroy.
9-term incumbent Massachusetts Congressman John Tierney lost the 6th District primary to ex-Marine Seth Moulton. Tierney is the first incumbent Democrat to lose a Bay State primary since 1992. And in the Massachusetts U.S. House District 9 on the Republican race, John Chapman, that was a close race, came out on top with 32% of the vote.
One other race we should mention, former Massachusetts U.S. Senator Scott Brown won his primary in New Hampshire. He ran as a Republican for U.S. Senator in that state, so he'll face the Democrat incumbent, U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, in the general election in November.
And we do have full results on all of the races in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. All you have to do is log on to turn10.com for that information.
6:41 in the morning now, 19 minutes before 7 o'clock. There were some scary moments in New Jersey last night. Miss Rhode Island collapsed on stage during competition. We'll talk about that in a moment.
And there's been yet another change in the case against a man who was arrested in a deadly crash from 2 years ago.
A dangerous virus has been found in mosquitoes in Rhode Island. That story's coming up, too.
Closed captioning on NBC 10 is brought to you by Cardi's Furniture. Nairobi offers same-day mattress eye delivery 7 days a week.